see. Where is Steffi? She gonna come? Is she still sleeping?
Yes, she's coming.
Oh, she's coming? Okay. So what did you do this week? What were you busy with? Work?
Yes, we left from work at 10 o'clock every day.
You stayed at work until 10 o'clock every day last week?
Yeah, this week.
This week. Okay, well, yeah, today is Saturday. So I guess like if you count Saturday or Sunday. So Sunday, if it's Sunday, then you say last week, right?
Oh, okay.
Or then sometimes they say Monday is the new week.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's like working, we say OT, overtime, right?
OT,
Yeah,
overtime.
Overtime, right? Yeah, so you've been working overtime a lot. Wow. Then you really need to relax on the weekend. So what are your plans for this weekend?
Lay on the bed.
Lay on your bed? Okay. lay on my bed, right? On my yeah. The bed is a specific bed. Maybe you say lay on the bed in the office, right? There's that bed. The bed.
Okay.
So I think sometimes people confuse with when to use the and okay. So I'm gonna prepare a post on that so that you will understand a little bit better. Great. Hey Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you feeling? Are you sleepy?
A little bit.
Did you just wake up? Did you just wake up?
What? Yes.
You just wake up. Okay. Okay, great. So today we're gonna talk about small talk. So why do you think small talk is so important? Why do you think, Eva?
What is small talk? Is talking about something it's not talking about business or
So small talk. What is small talk? Steffi, can you help Eva out? What's small talk? I think you should probably know.
Maybe it's a communication with the client, but it's not for so nervous.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about business? Are you talking about your presentation? Or are you talking about something else?
Maybe it's something else.
Okay, so an example, weather. You're like, oh, the weather's so nice today. Oh my God, it's raining, so annoying, right? A lot of the times they'll just be talking about this. This can be before a meeting.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or after a meeting, or even sometimes during the meeting. Okay, so it depends on how close you are with your client. But
yes,
Americans or Europeans, so people from Western culture, they don't really like to talk about work. But in Taiwan, I think people usually just go there and just like, okay, work, right? So it's a little bit different. Sometimes we may find it a little bit hard because we are not used to that. That's their culture. So why is it important? So Eva, can you read us this paragraph or the sentence here?
Okay, because there will often be times when you are not talking about business, but still want to engage in conversation with your clients.
Right, engage. So this is something like in marketing, right? We have engagement rate, right? This is something that we will see. So we have engagement rate. What does that mean? If you're engaging, you want to engage, what does that mean? So do you want them to talk to you Or like, no, I don't want to talk to you.
Talk to me.
Right,
each
talk to me.
other.
Okay, right. You want them to interact. So sometimes you're like asking a question, right, on your post, and then
Yes.
you want them to comment, right? Because
Yes.
you want them to say something to you, and then so you're like, they're telling me something, I want to tell you something, and then maybe they'll tell me something and I ask you a question, and then you're engaging, right? Because if you just post something and no one says anything, don't like your post, don't comment, then you're like, do you like it? Oh, if you don't like it, then I need to post something different, right? So you really want to try to engage in your conversation when you're talking to a client that you see them face to face, right? Or on a con call or through the webcam, right? So that's important. Okay, so let's move on to the second part. Here is, how do we do that? We connect. So like we talked about last class, if you're trying to talk to other people, you really need to connect to them, right? So why? Do you still remember from last class? We were talking about we need to connect to find commonality. Do you still remember the word? Commonality. Okay. So what is commonality, Steffi? Is she frozen?
Maybe or hello.
Okay. I thought you were frozen. Okay, so do you remember what is commonality?
Yes. Maybe you have the same interest with your friends or clients, or maybe have have the same habit.
Okay, you have the same habit as them. Okay, great. So, Steffi, can you read this part about when you connect with someone?
Yes, when you connect with someone, it is easier for a person to remember you. You usually become more likable as well.
Right, okay. So they'll remember you. Is that important if you're talking to a new client?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really important, right? So they'll want to connect with you on a level other than just work, right? Maybe you have something you can talk about, and then they'll like you, they'll want to work with you or talk to you more, okay? More friendly. Okay, so here are some conversation tricks that we're going to learn today. Okay, so what is the first one?
A connection with small talk.
Yes, can you read it out loud? Was that Eva?
Make a connection with small talk.
Okay, so make a connection with small talk. What do you think about this? What do you think you can do?
Like we talk about we provide service for the clients, but we also need to know about their brand or some background. And I think this can be kind of small talk to let them know we wanna realize their background. Not total not we are not only want to we are not we are not only want to take their money.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You want to understand their background, right? Like you care
Yes.
about them, like a person. Good.
Yes.
Right. So you want to get to know more about them, right?
Yes.
That's really good. Yes. So if you can tell the clients about like, oh, I know you're doing this and this and this, and I really like your campaign or your product, right? They're like, oh, cool, right? Then what do you think about it, right? They want to know if you can provide some feedback that it's maybe different, right? They don't want you to just say, oh, yes, my product is good, right? But
Yeah.
they want to know how they can make it better. So a lot of times before going into a client's meeting, you really need to, maybe if they're a gaming app, right? You need to try their game. If
Yes.
they're a clothing brand, maybe you can try their clothing or look at the customers' reviews, like, oh, some of your customers have this problem. Why is that? Maybe we can help you fix your problem. So a lot of the times, I think sometimes even clients, they don't really know what's wrong or what can be better, right? But from a third party perspective, third party means that someone, right? If you're talking to two people, if Eva, you're talking to Steffi, and then I come in, right? If you two are fighting, and then you have someone else come in and say, hey, why are you guys fighting? Like, Eva says this, and then Steffi says this, but you're both right? So then it's like you ask someone else to come in to help to fix a problem. Okay, right, to make a connection. Steffi, what do you think about how can you make a connection with small talk?
Maybe first, at first, I will talk about what the client recently doing, or maybe what problem they made.
Okay, what they made. Okay, that's cool.
Maybe
it's not about work, right? Here you're talking about examples about work, right? So today we're going to try to talk about not work, right? We don't want this to be about work. So if you see a new client, right, what can you do to try to say something nice? Is it very hard?
Maybe say her style is cool, or what's her what she buy recently, or
okay, so what she bought recently. Okay, you can comment on her clothing, right, on something that she has, right? Something nice. Okay, how about how to stay engaged in the conversation? What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, Eva, what about you? Maybe you're more awake than Steffi.
I think keep asking questions, even that's all.
Right. Do you remember we talked about open-ended question? Do you remember what it is? What is open-ended question?
Yes or no.
It's not yes or no questions,
it's
right?
Not for yes or
Right. It's open, right?
Okay.
If it's not open, then you can say yes or no, and then the conversation just stops. But then if you're asking them and saying like, oh, so what did you buy this week? Or, oh, where did you go? Or what did you eat this week? There's like this and this and this and this, and there's like so many things you can talk about. And she's like, oh, I had ramen for dinner last night. And you're like, oh, I love ramen. Like, where did you go? Right? And it's like, oh, I tried all the ramen stores, restaurants in town in Taipei. Where's your favorite, or where's this place, right? So that's something that you can try to present, and then for them to kind of like a fish, right? It's a bait. We call it a bait. So what's a bait is that when you're fishing, you throw something there and then the fish will eat it. Like, not a bait, right? So sometimes it's like, it could be like worms, like I remember like when I was in Canada, we had like these little worms. We would go like pick up these worms, and they're like moving, and then you put it on the hook, and then you go fishing. So that's what we did. Right. So you want them to eat your bait. Okay. So number three, Steffi, can you read number 3?
Avoid difficult topics while making small talk.
Okay, so what do you think is a topic that may be a little bit difficult, or sometimes people don't want to talk about it? They don't feel comfortable. When you talk about it, it's a little bit weird, or maybe you'll end up in a fight.
Do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend?
Really? Okay, so maybe you're saying personal questions. So this is a little bit personal, right? Are you married, right? And I think in Taiwan it's okay. But sometimes people care about, like, I think girls care about, like, hey, how old are you, right? What's your age, right? So maybe it's something that even in Western cultures in America, you don't really ask people about their age. It's a little bit, we call private. So we don't really ask them if it's like the first time we meet. Maybe if we're pretty close friends and it's okay, right? So it's like maybe just acquaintance or people you just met, and then friends, and then like best friends, right? So we need to be a little bit closer to them for us to ask them some questions. Okay, personal questions, that's one. Eva, can you think of one? Difficult topics.
Making small talk.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. In Taiwan, we have blue and green. What is that called?
The word.
Yes, the word starts with a P. Something
Hello.
Good job. Okay, you got some of it. You got politics.
One more time.
Politics. Or sometimes they say politics. So depending on the accent you want to say. Politics. Okay. So that means what? So when we're talking about, like in Taiwan, we have people who support the blue, right? The blue is the nationalist, and the green is the, you guys know? No. Nationalists. Oh, this is a getting a little bit very yeah, but I think, do you guys care about this? Is this something you care about?
No.
You guys don't really care about that. You guys don't talk about this ever? Like, it's not something, I think maybe in our age group, we don't really talk about this.
Our age group.
Yeah, age group. Like, you're 20, 25?
Oh, yeah, yes. We don't talk about it.
But you guys vote, right? Do you vote? Vote.
Yes.
You guys know what voting is? So you guys don't really care about this. I don't think in Taiwan a lot of people really do care about it.
Maybe some do.
Or maybe they feel very strong about it, but I don't think people around me are that strong. Or maybe we just don't talk about it. Sometimes I don't think it's just something we don't talk about. Right. So then we have the blue. Sometimes we just say called the KMT, right? But I think it's okay to understand a little bit in English because a lot of foreigners are very interested in it. And then the Green Party is the Democratic Party, right? So that's green. Oh, green. And then that's the blue. Yeah. Okay, it's okay. So, right, politics are sometimes a little bit hard, especially I think sometimes these people have a lot of their own different opinions, then a lot harder for people to really talk about this. Okay, number 4 is the formula for making small talk. So we're going to have this step-by-step formula for you. Let's start from making a connection. Okay, so how do you make connection? The first one is what, Eva?
Common experience. Common experience. Maybe like travel or music.
Okay. Travel or music. So travel, right? What would your question be?
If the client her style is more like Korea style, her clothing is more like Korea styles, and I will say I maybe ask her when did she went to Korea before?
Okay, good. So when did you go to Korea, right? Or sometimes maybe you don't know if they did or not. So have you ever been to Korea, right? And then what can you say? If Steffi, you say, so you ask this question to Steffi. And then Steffi, what do you answer? So Eva,
have you ever been to Korea?
Yes, I have been to Korea for 2018.
Yes. Okay, great. So I have been to Korea before, and then you can say when. Good. Very good. I was listening for your question, right? Last time we talked about when it's a question, you go, have you been to Korea? Not have you been to Korea, right? Does it go down? It goes up. Okay, good job. Okay, so right, I've been to Korea, but what if I haven't? What can you say? If it's no.
Never.
Good job. Okay, because most people, they will say haven't or have not, right? But if it's 0 times, we can just say I've never been there, right? Yeah, good job. Great. Okay, so these are just some small tips. Use common experience, right? Traveling. Okay, traveling is a very big one, especially I guess when people have things from different countries. Maybe you can say that, or just talking about traveling, or where did you go on your vacation, right? Maybe she said, sorry, Eva, sorry, I will be away for 2 weeks, or I will be away for 1 week, right? And then she comes back, and your first time meeting her, you can say, oh, how was your vacation, right? How's your vacation, right? Where did you go, right? That's something that's really interesting. Okay, they could travel somewhere in Taiwan, somewhere not in Taiwan, maybe somewhere away. And I think also one that's very interesting is if they're a foreigner in Taiwan, right? So remember when we were having the meeting, if the Indian, he was in Taiwan, right? And maybe first time in Taiwan, you're like, hey, what do you think about Taiwan so far? Like, that's a question I love. What do you think about, right? Think about Taiwan so far. And then usually they'll be like, oh, I love it, right? And you're like, oh, what's your favorite dish, or what's your favorite food, right? So this is something that you can tell. And they're like, oh, it's beef noodle soup, right? What's your favorite food so far? Or what's something that you tried that you like? Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great. So these are all questions that you can ask, and for them to answer, they're like, oh, I really like beef noodle soup. And you're like, tell you my favorite beef noodle place soup. Where is it, right? And then you tell them, and like, hey, let me give you the information, right? So you can talk about a lot here. And oh, I think you will also like this dish because it's very similar, right? It's beef because it's beef, right? Okay, or like they say, oh, I love the mango shaved ice, and you're like, I love where did you eat it? I love this place. Go to one in this night market, right? So there's a lot of things that you can share about common interests. Okay, great. Let's talk about the next one. The next one is going to be to mention what, Steffi?
Mention colleague, hometown, business location.
Okay, this is something that people always say wrong, but it's okay.
College.
Good. Colleague. Eva is your colleague, right? Colleague from work. All right. College is the school that you went to. Say, I graduated from National Taiwan University. Okay, that's my college. So when someone else is like that, they're like, oh yeah, I graduated from something. Something that's really funny happened is I was wearing a shirt that says Berkeley, Berkeley University in America. And then someone saw the shirt and was like, hey, did you go to Berkeley? And then you can start a conversation there, right? So if you're wearing something that maybe represents your college or your hometown, it says, I love Taiwan, they're like, hey, right? Or I have a shirt that says, I love New York. Then they're like, hey, I'm from New York. I love your shirt. Okay. This happened a lot when I was in Hawaii. They saw my shirt and then I had Golden State Warriors, the basketball team. And they're like, hey, I love your shirt. Go Warriors. And then you're just like, oh, cool. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like, and then you can start, right? Did you watch the game? Or like, who's your favorite player? Right? So things like that. Okay. So that's one. And also business location. Why business location? Right? If they come or they go somewhere where they know your business location, maybe you're interested in where they are. Like, oh, your office is in Singapore. I've been to Singapore before. I loved it. And then you can start talking about that, right? So sometimes sharing about yourself and then knowing that they will have a very good feedback because they will like it too. Okay. Eva, what's the last one?
Discuss common interest or likes.
Okay. Common interests or likes. What do you think about this? Look at the picture. Can you give me an example?
We all love sushi.
Sushi. Sushi. Okay. Right. We all love sushi. So that's common. What's the common thing?
Common food.
Good job. Yeah. You all love food, right? Who doesn't? In Taiwan, everyone loves food. So something common is sushi. And then if foreigners come, I'm like, hey, try stinky tofu.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, what? No. And it's just really funny. Yeah, sometimes you just want to try it and you're like, oh, you should go to somewhere good, right? And then you can introduce where you like it, right? So common interests or likes are really easy for you to make a connection. Okay. How do you stay engaged? To stay engaged, what does this mean? Steffi, what's the first one?
Don't just talk, ask questions and listen.
Okay, right? So Eva, you said open-ended questions. You remember about that? Good. Okay.
Yes.
Open-ended questions. Like, can you ask me a question?
Are you finished? Are you finished your breakfast?
Are you finished your breakfast? It's okay. Are you? Did you?
Did you? Oh yes. Did you
right.
finish
Did you
your
finish
breakfast?
Your breakfast? Okay. No, I didn't have breakfast. I don't usually have breakfast. Breakfast is sometimes I think like eating takes a lot of time. So then I just get up and then get coffee and then have brunch. What's brunch?
Oh, okay.
brunch. So do you know the difference between breakfast, lunch,
And lunch.
and brunch?
Yes.
Right? So what time is usually brunch?
Maybe now.
Yeah, I guess it could be like from like 10:30 to like, I guess even 12. Sometimes like in the middle. Breakfast is more of like from 8 to like 10:30, right? And then maybe lunch is from like 11:30 to like 1:30, something like that. So it's just like you're having an early lunch. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Great. So what about you ask Steffi a question?
Uh, do you miss me?
No, I
No.
have met you yesterday. I have met you yesterday.
Yeah, okay. Or I saw you yesterday, right?
Yes.
I saw you. Yeah. Okay. Great. So, but if you ask open-ended questions, right? If it's open-ended, right? Like did you have breakfast is kind of yes or no, right?
Yes.
Right? So what if I wanted for you to ask me an open-ended question? Because I just say no, or I just say yes, and then it's your turn, right?
Yes.
Okay, what's a good one? If you're talking about my breakfast, what can you ask me?
What did you eat for breakfast?
Okay, good. Usually we would say, what did you have for breakfast?
Oh, okay.
Have for breakfast, have for lunch. What did you have for breakfast? What did you have for lunch? But the grammar is correct, right? You can say, what did you eat? It's okay. But usually you will hear, what did you have for breakfast? Okay, so what I have, and I say, oh no, I don't usually eat breakfast because blah, 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 right? So that's something that is not a yes or no question. So it's open-ended question, like usually like what, right? Okay, great. The next one, Steffi, what's the next one?
Pay attention to the person with whom you are talking.
Okay, pay attention. So look at this picture. What does it mean? What do you need to do?
Eye contact.
Good, very important. Something that I think most people don't like to do. You don't like to look at the person in the eye. Look at their nose, okay? You don't have to look at their eyes, look at their nose. They'll think you're looking at them, okay? But it's very important, and it will show you and the person that you have confidence, okay? Don't look down. Don't avoid eye contact. This is something that I think you will need to practice if you want to do a good presentation, okay? Don't be afraid to look at who you're talking to, your audience, okay? Now maybe mostly we have conference call, right? But a lot of times I know like Amber will go to the client, right? That's something you need to practice. You need to look at the person, because if you don't look at the person, it just shows that you're not confident. You will, if you observe and you look at Amber and how she talks to other people, she will always look at them. Okay.
Yes.
So it's something that Eva, I think you really need to practice, because
Yes.
you lack confidence. Okay. Lack confidence, but it's okay, right? Lack confidence. Because even when you know the answer, you're not confident about yourself. But it's okay, right? You should always be confident about yourself. Who cares if you say it wrong? But most of the time you're right, right? But you're just like, huh? But no, you don't need to do that, right? You just say it. Okay, not like, huh, is it this? Huh, is it this? Right? Okay, so just say it. Who cares if you get it wrong? Like, it's wrong? Really? What? I'm always right. What are you saying, right? So it's an attitude problem, right? Is your attitude on, you're afraid of making mistakes. But this is something that's very good. In my class, please make mistakes. I want you to say things like eat for breakfast, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, how can it be better, right? How can it be a little bit more like how Americans talk, right?
Okay.
So there's no right or wrong. There's just, you can say this, okay? So don't worry, right? You need to build up your confidence and try to present yourself more, because you're a very pretty girl. You don't need to be like, it's not like you have the confidence issue, right? And you're very tall too. So you just stand and then just present yourself, okay? We're going to practice on that. Okay, so the next one is what, Eva?
Notice small things that could be conversation starters.
Okay, some small things. So small things, maybe even like when her phone rings, it's a song. Like, I love this song. You love this artist too, right? I love this song and his song. I went to his concert. Okay, so there's a lot of things you can say. Like notice like small things that maybe on their phone. Maybe it's their children. Maybe it's their dog. Is that your dog? Oh, I love dogs, right? Like things like that. Oh, is that your children? They're so cute. And then they start talking. Okay, so there's like these very small things, or even like your client. Go on their Facebook if you can find their Facebook. Know a little bit about them, right? So this comes to my next one. Steffi, what's the next one?
Do some research about the person to know more about him.
Okay, it could be him or her, sorry. So here, right? Google them, right? Google the person you want or you're going to meet. So you know a little bit about him, maybe his background, where he graduated, where he lived before, some of his pictures. Don't be too creepy and too specific, right? Don't be like, oh, you were here, and this time eating dinner, right? That's kind of a little bit like weird. But like, if you're like something that everyone will know, like, oh, I heard you came from this place, or oh, I heard you lived in Singapore for a couple of years, right? From my colleague or from someone, right? I heard blah, 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 blah. So you can also say like, I heard from this whatever person, or something that I heard from someone, right? So that they're like, oh, you're just not just talking, right? From this information, I don't know from where. So maybe I heard from my colleague, right? Or from someone. If maybe Eva is going to the presentation and then Steffi knows this client, and then Steffi would be like, hey, Eva, you can talk to her about this. She loves to shop at some clothing brand like Lululemon, right? She loves Lululemon clothing, or she's always wearing Lululemon or something like that. Like she's very athletic. She loves yoga, like things like that. And you're like, oh, cool. Okay, I can talk to her about this. I can talk to her about maybe she'll like this better. Or talking about influencer, we can maybe she'll like a certain characteristic or person better. So get to know them a little bit more about their style, about their lifestyle, or about just where they're from. Okay, so before we begin on difficult topics, I want to take a 1-minute break if you guys want to go drink water or take a washroom break, and then we'll come back and then talk about difficult topics. Okay?
Okay.
Great.